welcome back to another episode of South Star Classroom, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Charles Coe III, and we have the one and only Miss Jubilee Ransom. We are missing Omar because he is the most interesting man in the world. He is somewhere on the planet that we have no idea where he is, probably doing cool spy shit that he does. And David will be with us soon. So it is just the two kiddos today. We will be playing until the den father gets back. But how are you doing today, Miss Jubilee Ransom?
I am doing great. I don't know if there's a delay. I might have to move if there is, but I'm doing great. It snowed. We got smacked by a snowstorm. Of course, my family in New York, they're back in action, okay? But down here in Maryland, we are not back in action. Schools are closed for most of the week.
New York was like, we ain't even closing schools. What's your come on?
They did virtual, I think, on Monday, which people
were about, which I'm not mad at Mom Donnie on that. I'm not mad at them at all.
For virtual, no thanks. No thanks. Just shut it down. Oh, please. We as the parents, experience the bullshit of COVID-19 virtual instruction. Okay. So miss us on it until y'all figure out how to do it well. But nonetheless, down here in the sweet state of Maryland, we're out of school until Thursday, and possibly we'll see what happens. It's supposed to snow again, so we'll see. But I am grateful, and I'm muted. If somebody's at my door, I'll be right back. And my daughter's
okay. Well, all right. Well, I will do it. I will do my check-in and stretch it till you get back. Go get your door. Yeah, it's been a busy week. You know, she got her dog. She got to go get her dog. She got the door, all that stuff. It's just been busy. It's been busy. The whole year has been busy. I had to travel. Went to Oakland, which was really cool to do the Dirk and Rachel Awards, which, you know, means a lot to me on a lot of different levels. Huge thank you to my homie Benny, who did a video honoring Dirk Tillotson, and my other homie J Artist Wright, who did a video honoring our other friend Rachel. So, you know, it was emotional. All the people that got the awards, I think most of those people definitely cried. But you know, we back. I don't know who this flying Huckleberry is asking about karate, but I will block you, cuz I don't know you, bro. And no, we're not doing no karate. Shout out to Bill Conrad for being here from Sub-Zero Joliet. Joliet is not Sub-Zero right now. It is 14 degrees in Dalton. Joliet is not that far, but it has been cold. It has been cold. Yes, we had 1 and 0 degrees and not that long ago. You feel me? So we working all that stuff out, but it's gonna be there. But I'm happy that like I said, I'm happy that we got to be in Oakland and celebrate these guys. It's been a while. Damn, I don't know what year was that we lost both Dirk and Rachel. I'm not sure, but I know many of the people that watched the show knew of at least one of them, if not both. So that's what I was doing. And then today we have an interesting topic. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I ain't really want to do this topic. I'm gonna just, you know, we need a topic, and it's the thing that's happening. But obviously is Minneapolis and the things that's going on in the Twin Cities. And huge shout out to a friend of mine, friend to this show, friend to me, A Black Hands, all that, Miss Nekima, who was arrested, and it's big national news. And I just want people to understand, Nekima is not just an organizer. She is Nekima. There's a difference between a revolutionary and an activist. Nekima has gone beyond the call of an activist. Revolutionaries are people that don't plan on coming home. And so my wishes to her, my safety wishes and best wishes to her. She's brilliant. She really cares about this stuff. And go look up Nekima Minneapolis if you don't know who that is. And shout out to Josh, huge fan of the show, did a lot of our logo stuff and things like that. Chris's son, he's getting a lot of footage. Any of my friends that's in the Twin Cities, be safe. And then I'm enjoying getting the information from you guys. Yeah, welcome back, Ju. How's the dog? Is the dog okay?
The dog's okay. Am I?
You're definitely frozen. I thought you were just standing really still. You're absolutely frozen. You can just take your thing off if you need to, though. You can take your video off until you get to a better spot. But yeah, so let me just run down some of the facts of what's been happening in the Twin Cities, right? So one, there's been a major federal and immigration enforcement surge has been happening in Minneapolis, St. Paul. For those outside that area, they call them the Twin Cities. Welcome back, Jude. The surge has sparked sustained public tension with repeated demonstrations tied to enforcement activity and community fear. And on January 7th, Renee Good was shot and killed in South Minneapolis. It was in an incident that was involving an ICE agent, and then people protested. And then a few weeks after that, January 24th, a few days ago, Alex Pretty, an ICU nurse, was also shot and killed by federal agents in Minneapolis. And then the protests intensified. There's protests here in Chicago as well. Demonstrations have concentrated downtown in their government sites, drawing large crowds and heavy media attention. And then crowd control tactics have been used during the protest. That includes tear gas and other methods that they have to dissipate crowds. Minnesota and Twin Cities leaders have escalated the conflict in the federal court, seeking limits of the crackdown and preservation of evidence. And the central flashpoint is transparency. There's been arguments and disputes over body camera and video footage, who has control of it, who should be able to see it, and when. And federal leadership footprint has shown signs of shifting, with reporting that top Border Patrol leadership and agents will soon depart the metro. There's been calls for Noems for her to step down. I don't know if she's going to heed to those calls, but this controversy has had national spillover, with other officials in states publicly weighing in as illegal and political fights continue. So that's just a rundown of the facts of this new year. And instead of giving a bunch of questions that we don't normally get to, I want to just get general reactions of what you're seeing over there. But before we do, we have Mr. David Castillo back. Give us a check-in, David. And if you guys haven't, I see somebody just did on our team. If you haven't, please link your social media so you can be live there too. David, how you doing?
Great. I'm doing well. Just sorry that I'm late. I just got out of the barber shop. I've never been in a black barber shop, but I've spent a lot. I've spent a lot of time in my new barbershop, and all the men are Arabic. They're all from the Middle East.
Okay.
And it's probably like a black barbershop where it's like you think a haircut's going to take 30 minutes and it takes an hour because the guys are just like
talking.
Yeah. Talking. I'm like, I don't even know what they're talking about, but it's great. But yeah, I'm here.
Well, welcome, brother. Welcome. As I was able to crack this wine while you were talking about your hair looks good, brother. It's good to see you. You know, you're sharp over there. Now that we're back, and you haven't missed anything. I just did a general rundown. You got these in the notes. Jude, what's your reaction? How are you reacting to all of this stuff? And the conversation is going to be free flowing. I don't have questions that's guiding us like that today. I just want us to have a conversation for an hour.
It's so unsettling, and it's crazy. And I watched the news. I don't usually watch the news. I just read headlines. And so I was reading my headlines and then catching up on the videos. And I watched one particular, I actually watched both the Renee Good video, which I thought I wasn't going to be able to bring myself to watch, but I ended up watching that. I watched the Alex Pretty video as well. And then I watched the news report where a news reporter or journalist was in, I guess, the White House. There was like a White House briefing. And he asked the question. I forget exactly the question, but all I know is that the lady who responded, and I don't know if this was known, just lied. And I'm like, are you really going to stand up there and say that the man was armed with a 9mm and attack? Like, is this where we are? And I know that it's been happening. I know that the media has been twisting, all the things, I know. But to see something that like is just blatantly, it's not even something that could be misunderstood, misinterpreted. Like, we see the video, we see the different points or vantage points that CNN had or whatever the media outlets have had, and still you'll stand up there and say that this is fake news and people are just irate for no reason, and this is a terrorist, and it's like, it's sickening, So I have been managing myself through deep prayer, because I'm like, it's always been good versus evil. I just think that maybe now that it's hitting for white Americans, right? And rest in peace to both, right? And I don't mean this in a reverent way, but like, it's always been a battle of good and evil. For us as Black people, it was us being mistreated because of the color of our skin, right? And for years and years, it's like, you guys are overreacting. It's just surrender, just put your hands up, and nobody will bother you if you just comply. And we were like, we did comply, and we still died. We were still shot and manhandled, or whatever the case may be. And I think this is a reckoning. It's a reckoning, and it's a moment of awakening for us to see, like, it's the same force at play, which is evil, right? People are harming humanity for no reason at all, and then lying about the fact that they're a part of it. And then you have all of these folks that are complicit in it, which I think silence is data, silence is loud. And we are in we're in a terrible space, like as a country, and we are the laughingstock of the world. And I'll stop there.
David, any reactions to the things that's happening in Minneapolis? Any just thoughts that kind of bubble up to the top? I don't have a central theme. I just did kind of an overview of what's happening there.
Yeah, I think it's bringing up a lot of. I mean, first off, it's really sad that it's come to this moment, and where we've seen, essentially the assassination of two. I don't even want to say it, but they say it. Oh, they were American citizens. I'm like, that doesn't matter. Like, two human beings were shot and killed. One was a mother. One was he had served his community in the medical field. I think he was a nurse. And, as far as I can tell, I don't want to get into the technicalities of it, but just, for them to come out of the gate calling them domestic terrorists and things like that, and just smearing their names, is absolutely disgusting. I think we've gotten to this point where, the administration can just continue to lie and lie and lie. It's incredible. I mean, what was Obama's biggest scandal? The tan suit that he wore, right? I'm sure he had others, but
the suit after Labor Day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But drones would be one. Drones
would be one,
and immigration.
And immigration. Biden also.
We still deported more people than anybody.
Yep.
My favorite president, but it happened.
I think at the end of the day, Trump may actually be on record to deport fewer undocumented people than Biden did, or than Obama did. But this is not about like undocumented immigration. This is about essentially attacking a populace, and that is the American people, and putting people into a state of fear and shock and awe, and weaponizing our military to attack our cities, right? And it's interesting too. They've everyone's like, why Minnesota? Why Minnesota? If you look back at the history of Minnesota, especially with the electoral maps and how things kind of shake out over the last like 20 or 30 years, some of the states are blue and they go red, and they go blue and red, blue, red, blue, red. Minnesota it probably has, other than California, well, actually longer than California, probably has the longest track record of being a solidly blue state, right? And so, and then all the recent stuff with that's gone on. But I really feel for those people. I feel for the communities. I think the things that ICE is doing make it harder for all like law-abiding, well-trained law enforcement to do their jobs. It's made me think. It's brought up all kinds of like feelings for me about just police in general. And I know it's not. These things are not necessarily connected, but it's crazy to see what they're doing. It's really, really crazy. And I think going back to Jubilee's point, it's also made me think of like Rodney King. Rodney King was like one of the first ones that everyone got to see, They're like, they actually do this stuff? I'm like, yeah, well, they've been doing it for a long time.
Absolutely.
And then with I mean, hundreds of years, right? You want to go back and look at what happened, how the Native Americans were massacred and the and slavery, and what happened with Mexican Americans in the Southwest, in the 1800s, and the internment of the Japanese Americans during World War II. We have a number of different examples where, American people were attacked on their own fucking soil, right? So this is not new, but I think the fact that you hit the nail on the head, Jubilee, and this is not for us to judge. It's just like when it's a white person, when it's a white mom with little teddy bears in her glove box, and when it's a white male nurse who seems like a pretty stand-up guy, it gets a lot of people's attention, and I think overall that's a good thing, right? So like, now where are we going to go?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I think, and my take is somewhere in the middle of both, man. I think I think certain things are worth fighting and worth dying for. I think certain things that this Constitution promises you, I think they have to be fought for with the understanding that some people might, lose their life for it, man. I think this overreach of power and overreach of execution, I think it's trying to send a certain type of message. I think that the people have to stand up during those times, regardless of even the underlying issue, because I think that more people than would probably like to admit kind of agree with certain things that might be happening around. Hey, how we crack down on this? What's going on? Hey, is this daycare, really, if they really put in the highest, some people care, some people don't. It's not my state, right? But I start caring more though when I'm like, yo, like you seeing people in the street losing their life. This reminds me of Trayvon Martin. This reminds me of Oscar Grant, and two things that I was very, very involved in. Still never have watched Fruitvale Station all the way through because I lived through that. I was there. I had my radio show during that time. I did a live show during one of the protests that I was at, and have been, tear gas bombed and things of that nature. And sometimes you gotta be willing to fight. I think for me, I'm watching this because I don't want to repeat what you two said. I agree with everything that you all said. I'm watching this and I work with people and talk to people, and they keep not mixing, but they use these terms interchangeably, and that's activist and revolutionary. And they're not the same. Just so the record and I want to know, people, do you know if you're an activist, a revolutionary, or just a citizen right now? And I think you should know what these definitions are. Activists are people that work within the system to approve a system, right? So that's a lead teacher that's like, may not love that district, but it's like, you know what? I'm going to be the head math teacher in this place. I'm going to lead this pod of teachers, and we're going to grow and we're going to educate on math, and I'm going to use activist tactics to make sure we do that better. That's working within the system to improve it. Revolutionaries don't care about improving your system. They just care about, they tear it down. And revolutionaries, when they lace their shoes up, they know that this might be the last time they lace their shoes up. They know that they're going in to destroy a system in hopes that something new will grow from it, that they more than likely won't benefit from. So, I mean, there's a lot of people talking, and there's a lot of people that's over the years that's been saying I'm not my ancestors. You'll catch these hands, or, man, some of them people doing the civil rights movement, I would have did this and I would have did that. Well, guess what? You got your opportunity. Yes. My grandmama told me, when you pray for God, he gives you opportunities. Meaning, if you pray for patience, God don't make you more patient. He just gives you more shit to be frustrated with, where you have to be patient. He gives you more opportunities to be patient. So you keep saying how you're a revolutionary, or you this or you that. You got to be ready for that. I have friends that are out there, people that I care about, people that we all know and care about. Chris Stewart lives there. His son, Josh Stewart, a lot of people that we know. Nakima, who I've done a lot of work with, is like one of the lead. She is a civil rights attorney. She leads Wayfinder, and she's been arrested, and she was supposed to be released. And then the administration, like she's on their radar. She's on like federal radar. They dropped down some language that kept her there longer, and she finally got out. Now they're checking all of her dollars and money. I mean, the shit is real. When you go against real power, sometimes it hits back. So I just want to know where we want to go in this conversation today. Like what where does the South Star Classroom kind of chime in? There was, I ran it through AI, y'all, and was like, what's some good questions? Well, they were like, y'all show us about education. So talk about what should be happening with kids and how you talk about it right now. Or, then I was like, well, I don't know. I think I don't know if people are thinking about that right now. I think they're like still dealing with what's in front of them. Well, okay, well, shit, here go the details of what happened. And so they kind of left us on our own. So what Jubilee? Oh, go ahead, David. I was going to throw to one of y'all, but go ahead, David. I'll go to you. What you think?
Two things come up for me most immediately, and I think this is something that people might not like immediately jump to if it hasn't happened to you, or if you've been directly or even indirectly affected by it. Like when we see the arm of the government exercise power, to instill fear, the way that we're seeing it right now in Minneapolis. If you've ever been the victim of that, and I have, I've been falsely arrested by the police. I've been beat by the police. I've had guns pointed at me by the police. So I have a fear of police. Like I don't fully believe in that whole system because it's never quite worked well for me, and it hasn't worked very well for our communities. So I think when we see what we're seeing, regardless of who is the recipient of the state sanctioned violence, it brings up trauma, and it triggers me. It brings up trauma from things that I've experienced in the past, for sure, and it's really upsetting. It's like, okay, now what? So what am I going to do about it, right? There's that. I think the other thing related to education is like, it's kind of hard to like not talk about this right now. So my wonder is like how this is being talked about in classrooms across the country. I'll tell you a quick story. And this is just some advice to educators out there. Your opinion doesn't matter, right? Because kids have questions. I think it's more important for educators to be able to facilitate conversations and create forums where young people can ask questions and have healthy dialogue and debate on these issues. One of my son's teachers had a conversation with the class where, he essentially told them that, he thinks that people should just get out of the way and let the police do their work. Once you start interfering with that, I'm just like, I was driving him home. I almost pulled the damn car over and went back to school. I'm like, we're going to have more violence. I'm like, no, you don't do that as an educator. Like let the kids talk, let them come up with their questions. Let them dialogue, let them formulate new ideas, let them challenge each other. But as the educator, whether you feel like you want to temporarily suspend the Second Amendment for American citizens to carry firearms, or whether you think that ICE should be abolished, it's not the role of the educator. That's not the role of the educator. And I want to caution all educators, especially in this moment, to like, don't run away from it. But if young people want to talk about it, ask your colleagues for help in facilitating conversations. But like, your opinion is like the last one that matters in that room.
Yeah. I think that's interesting to say. I mean, look, I like the example you use. We also got to note you in San Diego is a military city. It's red in its own way. It's very red in certain ways. But I think the example you gave and just kind of saying, yo, I think that's true. I think it is about to be pulpits for a lot of educators. I think right now you need to be teaching. I think you need to be doing more listening, and I think you need to be educating on facts. If something comes up about the Constitution, or maybe it's a good time to do some lessons if you're a history teacher of times when this has happened before, because this is not new. This is not new. And I keep hearing people say things are new, and I'm just like, damn, this is the problem. This is why the South Star Classroom exists, because the fact that we don't know our history is why it can keep being repeated. And some of this stuff has happened pretty recently. So, Ju, where were you gonna go and kind of land on that? What are you thinking?
Two things. Well, one, just connecting back to what Dave was saying, the teachers. Let's go back to the teachers, because this has become pulpits for teachers. And honestly, I have heard in the past few weeks of teachers stating they agree with ICE. And, to David's point, yeah, get out their way, let them do their job. If you let them do their job, then they won't have to, attack you. And, immigrants are the reason why we have so many diseases in our country. And also teachers are saying all sorts of things. And I agree with you, like, yes, teach the facts, but also, and I know that this is not part of, anyone's job description to have some level of morality, but tell the truth. Okay. And tell them right from wrong, because going and taking somebody's life in cold blood, who's innocent, who did nothing to you, that's wrong. Now you can pretend that, oh, you're a teacher and you can't say that or whatever.
But I think you and David are in disagreement here. I want you to finish. I mean, if the rule is going to be on one side, is it a rule for all parties
kids,
or?
Yeah, no. Listen, I'm not saying to stand up and do that, but I'm saying if a kid brings that to you, don't give that kid a BS answer like, oh, it depends. We have to see the facts. We saw the facts. That was murder, right? And I think if a kid comes in your classroom, goes into the coat closet, they got to hang up their coats and book bags, and that kid goes and takes somebody's candy out of another kid's book bag, what are we going to say? Are we going to be like, oh, it just depends on the facts. It depends on if you don't have food at home, I get why you would steal the kid's candy. No, we would call it stealing. It's called taking something that doesn't belong to you, and it's wrong. These idiots that are in place right now, in position right now, right? They lack a moral compass. And if they had one, then maybe they wouldn't be doing all this stuff. But I think as educators that are directly engaging with students, that we still have to hold a moral compass. And I'm not saying to get on a soapbox or what have you, even though I
want you to finish, but I do have a push, because I agree with you, but I have a push because it's different. It's the opposite of what David was saying. That's why I just have a push philosophically.
Listen, no problem. So I'll separate it from what David is saying if you don't agree. But howsoever, right? I'm saying two things. One, I agree with you in terms of the facts, right? Like, let's teach them the facts. I think if teachers were doing more of that, then they wouldn't go on these tangents about, oh, I agree with ICE. I'm a MAGA supporter. Like, why the hell are you even saying that in the classroom? Nobody asked you. The lesson's not about you. It's not nowhere in the curriculum.
But would you say the same thing if somebody said the exact opposite? If somebody said, this is bullshit, this is like, overreach of power, this is wrong. Would you tell them? Would you tell that teacher as well to not offer their opinion? I'm just asking.
I would ask a teacher to not offer their opinion. Howsoever, a teacher is supposed to be able to facilitate a room filled with multiple opinions. That's your job. The teacher is supposed to be as neutral as possible, and the kids could think whatever the hell they want to think. But I think the teacher is the one that holds the middle. And all I'm saying is, I'm not saying to go in and get on your pulpit or your platform and soapbox and say all these things. What I'm saying is, right, just be mindful of your level of influence, and at the very least, teach the facts. And if something is clearly right or wrong, say that. Don't give these political ass answers when somebody's bleeding dead in the street because somebody took their lives. And we've seen that happen over and over again. I do believe we need to hold at least the middle on that, right? And if you don't want to give the answer to that, refer them to the facts. Hey, listen, I'm not going to share on that, but go back and look at the video. Go back and look at the facts so that our children are doing the research that they need to draw whatever conclusion they need to. But don't use your classroom to throw out all of your personal opinions and all of that. Stick with the curriculum, stick with the facts.
Yeah, I love where the conversation is going. I saw you about to jump back in, David. I don't disagree with you, Drew. We actually agree on a lot of this stuff. I think, but I also think coming from New York and Maryland and the landscape there, and we're talking to somebody that's in San Diego and somebody that's in the Chicago area. Now, let me be clear. Chicago as a city is liberal. You drive 2 minutes outside those city lines and you start seeing cornfields and shit. It's not very, and that's why I was just asking, because what's going to happen, I agree with everything you said, but if we're saying, and I think people should take the advice that Jubilee said 100%. What's going to happen though, is that when you say the moral center, that we have a morality of it, there's a lot of people that really are very pro, they're pro cop, they're pro, order, they're pro these things. And when you talk about San Diego, which is a military town where order and things like that, I'm just saying, if we're giving a message saying, okay, this is what our message is to all teachers. Hey, don't let your own personal stuff get in the way, deliver facts and do this, that, and the third. But then it's like, well, and say that this is wrong and that's wrong. I could see somebody, but I could see somebody saying, well, what was wrong first? What happened first? What was let's go back. Let's do this thing. I mean, listen, I love that. I don't think things, listen, in life, I'm just trying to play facilitator right now. In life, I don't think things are fair. What I'm saying is, though, is that if you live in some kind of liberal town where that's happening, you probably are getting those type of messages that you own, Jubilee. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is, I promise you, it may not be the whole school, but I promise you half of David's school is like, if not more than half, is like, yeah, hey, man, when officers tell you to do some shit, you listen. And when you don't, this is what happens. I'm pretty sure that 30 minutes outside of Chicago in some of those classrooms where like people got American flags and shit that's like in their truck and it's the whole thing, the people that I see when I drive every day, I'm sure they will probably watch and be like, okay, I'm about to go and do the moral thing. The moral thing is United States is ordained by God to do X, Y, and Z. And if you get in the way, this is what happened. I'm just saying, listen, and like I said, that's why I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying, like, that's why I was, but go ahead, David. I kind of took up a lot of time here.
So, I mean, I wouldn't, I'm not recommending the teachers be, totally like strapped down and like not say anything. But what I'm saying is that, teachers should be in a position to like orient, young people to facts, right? Mm-hmm. I'm talking about like statistical facts, talking about the Constitution as a document. I'm talking about, the concept of separation of powers and checks and balances and the three branches of government, right. Talking about overreach of the federal government, right? So, right. But I would start with, like look at, I've never been to Minnesota.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place.
These are not perfect numbers, right? Estimated undocumented immigrants in the state of Minnesota, you're looking at 130,000, right? It's a pretty small amount. I've been to concerts with more people than that, right? California, we're like somewhere between 2.2 and 2.3 million.
You just named a small state to the biggest state in the union.
Well, hold on. But what I'm also going to do is name the percentage of population. So Minnesota is 2.2 of their total population estimated. California is 5 to 6%.
Right.
So yeah, the absolute overall numbers are different because one state is smaller, one state's bigger in terms of population. But the percentages, like, why would you choose Minnesota? It would be like off of the radar. If I were sitting in Donald Trump's war room, being like, where are we going to tackle immigration? I would go to Texas, I would go to Florida, and I would go to California. So I'd pose the question to young people, why Minnesota?
Yeah.
Have that conversation, right?
Right.
I would also have the conversation about, this whole concept of like trying to temporarily suspend the Second Amendment, right? Even the NRA put out a statement saying like, you can't suspend the Second Amendment. I thought all these Trump people were like, gun loving, freedom, Rock Hudson, whatever the guy's name is,
Rock Hudson, I think,
or whoever he was. But whoever did the advertising for the NRA, one of those guys, who said it? You're not going to take this gun. You're going to only take this gun from my
cold dead hands.
Dead hands. I forget who said that. But, now even Trump today is saying like, you can't have guns. They can't have guns. I'm like, are you going to temporarily suspend the Second Amendment?
Hold on. Who can't have guns?
Well, Trump said you can't have guns. He just said you can't have guns. That's what he said. The president of the United States of America.
When you go into a protest or just in general? Because
let's actually take
this is good
that we given. Exactly.
So the freedom to assemble. So this.
And you were thinking about Charleston Heston. You were talking about Charleston.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
I got you, brother. This is what I do.
Now you have these like competing parts of the Constitution where you have the Second Amendment, right, the right to bear arms, and then embedded within the First Amendment and free speech is the freedom to assemble, right? One of those doesn't trump the other, right? So on paper, according to the Constitution, you can absolutely show up to a protest with a gun. And according to your state, it might even be an open carry state. Kyle Rittenhouse, didn't he show up with the machine gun, a semi-automatic machine gun in the streets of
assault weapon? It was an assault rifle.
Yeah. And they lifted this boy up like Baby Wonder, right? Right?
Yeah. So, I mean, absolutely. Look, listen, and I'm a left-leaning black man. There's guns all through this house. I'm just letting you know, and they're not going nowhere. And I do mind my business. You come through these doors. I want to make sure that I never have to use that thing, but I will. Yeah, I go out every week and practice with it at my gun range. I told y'all, which is the same one. I told y'all, Charlie Kirk. I'm not far from where Charlie Kirk grew up, so the gun range was very interesting last year when all that stuff was happening with black and white people. But here's the thing: when a lot of guns is around, you'd be surprised at how much people actually get along. We don't have issues in that gun range. Either way, we don't have it either way. Like, you know, I saw black dads and white dads with their 10-year-old sons and daughters learning how to shoot them things. Well, this is why people feel safe in open carry states, right? If I know what you got and you know what I got, we not really going off the hammer. But again, I agree. I guess what is coming down for me for is maybe I don't need to be a purist on this. I'm a purist in certain ways, but like, you know, maybe this is one of those situations that don't call for a purist thing. I think that this is an overreach of power. I think that there are ways to make things happen. I also am not naive about what power does. I've been pulled over a ton of times. I've been handcuffed. I've had guns put on me by police. I've been told I stole the car that I'm driving. Like, you know, I'm a black man that likes to drive the type of cars that I like to drive. And glasses are not, degrees are not. Like shit can get spooky for me. So I'm aware of how they can talk to you and what they can do. And I know how to play that game when I'm in front. But I've also had moments where I wanted to lose it. I would say to people like this, though, like, you got to know what you're going up against. If you want to be out there and you want to protest, man, hey, I'm with you. I've done it. Go do it. Go stand on what you believe in. But you need to be prepared to know what's at stake when you do it. That's all. Again, I'm just not from this era at times. And I'm talking about adults and kids. I'm not talking about when you're born, but they think that when you're righteous and you say something that people are not going to say nothing back or they don't punch back. Power punches back, and it punches back hard and swiftly. Again, I love Nakima, man. I'm just so proud of her, and she's just such a pillar. But she went into this knowing what was at stake. She knew that she was gonna have to kiss her babies and her husband that day, and she might not come home, and she didn't. You know, God bless her, she's safe. But they're about to try to wreck her life. They're about to go into every crevice of her life, and it ain't like it's the St. Paul Police Department. It's the federal fucking government. Like, I'm just saying, man. Like, and so, you know, what do we stand for? What do we believe in? What are the things for each of y'all? What's the line where it's like, I would die for this? Like, this is something that matters that much to me. And I think that people are making these decisions right now. So I'm just curious for you all as educators, just personally, what is that thing where it's like, yeah, I'm crashing out about that. Let me start with Jubilee, just in this, as we're talking about this topic. Got to see one of your handsome boys put his face in the camera. As long as I don't hear the smoke detector beep, we good. Tell them that's their job. They should never. I should never hear that again as long as they live under Ransom's roof. But outside of that, Ransom, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's the kids, you know, like it's the kids. Leave the kids alone. Like, I sent an email to my superintendent and like executive leadership a couple weeks ago, not because my kids have been in any fights or been attacked, but because I feel like their high school could stand to be a bit safer. And coming home when we stand around the dinner table and y'all telling me about fight number 1 and fight number 2 and fight number 3, am I fearing for their safety or losing sleep at night? I'm not, but it doesn't take that for that to be happening to my kid for me to feel like that's an injustice and it's not okay, you know, and for me to put it out there for leadership to stand and to do something about it. And so that's usually what gets me up and going. Like, it's not, first of all, we already know it's my kids, like, leave them alone. Like, I will chase you down. Like, I will find you. I will find you in the spiritual realm through prayer, and I will find you in the natural realm. Like, just don't cross that line. But also just children in general. You know what I mean? Like, leave them alone. Like somebody said, Bill said, get them out there protesting, but that scares me because if you don't see human beings, you just shooting people in cold blood, like Tamir Rice. I mean, I don't see how you would just allow a kid to just go home if a kid is talking back or if a kid is exercising their rights as a citizen, like that you would preserve their safety and all of that. I don't believe that. I don't think it's safe for really anyone to be out there. Is it necessary? Yeah. But I really don't think anyone is safe. And I think not our most vulnerable, which is our children, they're definitely, not safe if they would have put themselves out there to try to lift their voices. But for me, it's the children. When I see things that are negatively impacting children that are our most vulnerable, that need our support and need our protection, that's when you get me all the way effed up.
Yep. And I saw some photos today. I won't put them on the screen because they're quite triggering. Of somebody was flying a drone over one of these detention camps, and it takes you back to like some pretty dark times in our history. So I think when people look back on this moment in 20 or 30 years, like everything's being recorded, everything's being documented under Trump's watch. And so these are like open yards in some of these ICE or Border Patrol, whatever, DHS detention camps in Texas. And like, if you zoom in, you can see all these little kids, like small children, like are basically in prison yards, with their parents. I'm like, okay, so same thing, Jubilee, like children, right? If we want to come up with a comprehensive plan to identify and arrest criminal, undocumented people that maybe have been accused of murder or assault, or the big thing is like they're all pedophiles. I mean, PDFs, they're not, right? It's some crazy stuff. And so, but if you want to come up with a plan to like, deport people that are here, without the right paperwork, that are like actively engaging in criminal activity, like we can start there, right? But in terms of like rounding up people without information and then releasing them or harassing them or even arresting, people have been deported that have never even lived in Mexico.
It's just it's dumb.
It's crazy. And so so I think their whole approach to like immigration enforcement is broken. I don't know what the next steps are going to be, but I mean they've clearly upset and activated millions of people across this country, and we'll see how that shows up in the 2026 midterms. I think that's number one for me. I think it's also interesting that like Trump is behind all of this, right? And so you're talking about things that get me fired up that are like what is, what's going to make me like, activate, is that like engage involving children and innocent people. I think number two, we know that he's doing this as a smokescreen for, everything that still needs to happen in terms of the Epstein files, right? It's very clear. Like, let me create this massive deflection, to inflict harm on American cities because I don't want to be outed, and maybe my friends don't want to be outed as people that were wrapped up in this really, truly demonic network.
It's demonic.
That like hurt children, right? That's number two. Number three, what gets me really fired up is the fact that they're doing all this to also deflect from, what the master plan is for Palestine. You saw Jared Kushner present at fucking Davos, right? At an American business sponsored forum, this new plan for Palestine, right? Beautiful beach clubs and hotels. It looks like Dubai. Did y'all see that? Like literally building a new tourist destination where they're going to build all the hotels on a graveyard, right? So that gets me fired up too.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I love today's conversation. I'm going to give two truths. I'm going to give a responsible truth and an emotional truth. Here's a responsible truth. The responsible truth is if I was a history teacher, government teacher, civics, like this is your time to shine, baby. This is because the suspension of the Second Amendment or anything about people and guns, and that Second Amendment is number 2 for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like it's up there with guns. This has happened before. You know when the other time was when we had like gun reform almost instantly happen. Like this is the beautiful part. I got 2 educators on here with me. Do y'all know? It's okay if you don't. It's great if you don't actually. David, I expect you to know it though, because of where we live. Well, it's all good, but this is where, and this is the truth. This is the facts that I'm talking about. It was how the Black Panthers got formed. It was Huey P. Newton and it was Bobby Seale, and they were in the original Merritt Community College when it was in North Oakland, David, before it moved to the hills. Yeah. And they were looking at stuff, and he was reading legal books, and he learned that you can have a rifle open and brandished in California under certain rules, and that's when the Black Panthers went out to Sacramento, and they were on the line of who was the governor at the time, Jubilee and David. See, I'm just modeling for what we can do in responsible truth. Who was the governor?
Oh man, was it Reagan?
He was Reagan. Yes. Reagan. It was one of the most after Lincoln, and they're very different Republicans, but he may be the most popular Republican. He's the most popular current Republican president of all time. Yeah. But that's what happened. And the NRA was on the side of Reagan, where they was like, these niggas can't have guns out here in Sacramento. This is what I'm saying. If you're an educator and you live for the educating, this is your time. If you're a math teacher during this time, what is the economics? Like how Bill is talking about an economic strike. What does that look like? When has that worked before? Like you can actually be an activist / or revolutionary educator in this moment. There's so much history of how this stuff has happened before. Here's my emotional truth.
It doesn't work when you racist. So.
I mean, sure. I mean, but here's the thing, though, right?
It would be great if people could actually separate, right? But that's what it's looking like. People are having hard times.
I don't think a lot of these people see themselves as racist. Again, I've lived in middle America. I used to live in Kentucky. I'm just saying. I think there are people that truly listen. The reason why King had to plan out things with the dogs, all that shit was like intentional. We know that Bull Connor is aggressive. We know Bull Connor's going to slip up. We know he's going to sick dogs, and he sent people in there still. And the reason why he did that is because there are people that truly believe in their government. There are people that truly believe, these people must be doing terrible things. So I have to create the condition that shows you this thing that is happening, right? So all I'm saying, Jube, I don't disagree with you, but I'm saying those statements, which I'm in 1,000% agreement, but it's like 50-50 across the country. And if you say that and one of them hears it and they don't think they're racist, they don't think they're wrong. They grew up really respecting cops. Listen, I'm telling you this as the son of a Marine. My uncle is a Marine. My brother is Army. And they good people. They great people. They also are like, if I have a gun pointed at you and I tell you not to do X, Y, and Z, and you do X, Y, and Z, and I've been in a war zone before, I fucking shoot you. Like it's not the person in Chicago, the police captain in Chicago came out and was like, these are still officers. These are officers that carry guns. If you do X, Y, and Z, I am telling you what the reaction is going to be because that's how we were trained and what we were trained to do. Now, but again, I agree with you, and this leads me to my emotional truth. Hey man, you fight this shit. Now listen, I'm gonna preface what I say. I am a single man. I do not have a family. I do not have children. I live alone. I own my house. That's important to say because the risk that I take, the things that I can do, and me being lost is very different from David or Jubilee being lost. And again, we got to allow people to live their lives, and everybody don't want to crash out and burn their life down. Like I'm not mad at that. But my emotional truth is you fight this shit. You don't get to take my guns away. I'm about to fight you like these white hillbillies do. Like I have that right as well. My right to bear arms protects me and makes me feel a certain type of way. You told me that's what the law was. I didn't like guns. I got to liking them. I made sure that I did because I know where I live and I know the type of tyranny that happens. I think that this country needs to have Second Amendment protections, because I do think that the government will run amok at some point, even worse, if they know citizens are not armed or equipped to protect themselves. But I think if you believe in something, like I have my line, I asked y'all, my line is, if you take away my First or Second Amendment right, like that whole Bill of Rights thing, I think all of that is worth us getting down and getting busy with it. And I might not come back. I might not come back. And so I'm just saying, again, the responsible me agrees, and I pushed on you, Jubilee, and I might have pushed on what you said, David. The emotional me, I don't give a fuck about none of that. I don't care about none of this parody. I don't care about what the liberal teacher should do, what the Republican teacher should do. If you're fucking with me and mine, and this is what I see is on the table, and this is what I see is what's happening. And I've seen what happened to Philando Castile in that city, in that place. Yeah, I'm gonna be a little on tilt. And I'm saying this is somebody who just a few years ago got pulled over. I still ain't sent y'all the video. I'm sorry. But 8 Black Hands, we were still active. And we played the video live. Like Sharif was crying. Like he cried. He wept. Like the police officer, I taped him. He's holding a gun on me. I'm on a book tour. I'm in between Indiana and Illinois. And because he said my cologne smells so good, that's why he called the dogs out, because he thought I was trafficking drugs as opposed to seeing 120 books in the back seat. Yeah, man. This motherfucker held a gun on me shaking the entire time. I had to talk him through it. It's all on tape. And I taped it because people wouldn't believe it. Like, these are people that you got to ask, when people want that type of power, you got to ask them why they want it. You got to kind of dig into what was they like in high school? Did they get girls, or did they get guys in high school? Do they have an inferiority complex? Do they have a Napoleonic complex? And I don't think the majority of cops, I'm not about to go and do this all cops shit or whatever. Like, I respect authority to a degree. I do, right? But I also have dealt with the bullshit side of authority. You are an adult, people that are listening. There's a nuance here, and you could really get hurt. So if you're willing to get hurt, know what's at stake. But right now, as far as kids are concerned, and I'll land my plane here, David, and throw it to you, teach them facts. Like, if you are in a school, there is a wealth, there's a cacophony of American history you can tap into. If you're the world history teacher, there's world shit that you can tap into. You can tap into youth starting organized revolutions and work. You can look in China and ancient China and what youth have done. You can look in this country. You can look at Black people arising. You can look, if you white, you can look at what the Irish had to do and what the Italians did. Like, there's so much opportunity to educate in this moment. And that's the South Star Classroom touch point that I will offer, because that other side of me is on some different shit, and I don't want to get nobody shot.
Thank you for that.
It was long. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think this whole, so I want to go a little bit broader from what's happening in Minneapolis right now, but it's related. But it's just like this whole new Trump 2.0. We've talked about on the show, Project 2025. And this whole attempt for them to rewrite the narrative and somehow center whiteness as being what it means to be an American, right? Mm-hmm. A white Christian, right? Heterosexual. Right, they're literally going back to try, and Charlie Kirk was part of this, right? Mm-hmm. Have as many children as you can, and do this and pray to God and whatever.
Oh, white people are afraid of being outnumbered. It's coming, is here. That's what.
Yes,
and they scared of y'all, David. They scared of y'all.
Good. They should be. Yeah. And so the way this relates to immigration is okay. So you have most of the voices coming out of the federal government now. And in the communities that feel very strongly about this are white people that are very vocal about wanting to defend what it means to be American, the American way of living, the American way of thinking. And it's essentially, it's it's white. They're trying to recenter whiteness. Nobody gets to decide who's an American and who's not an American. The last group of people that should get to decide who's an actual American are white Americans that are descendants of the Europeans. So I want to go back to the early 1600s when the first people came over from Britain. They had authority from Britain, right, to come over and establish Jamestown, right? and they brought some African slaves with them, right? I think like 100 or 75 with them. Those Brits had zero permission to even land here and to claim the territory, but they got the authority from the crown, right? So white people, white Europeans are the original illegal aliens to this land. That's what we have to reconcile with as a country if we want to have a really honest debate about immigration and what it means to be American. I can walk us through the next 400 years of what happened after that to get us to 2026. We don't have enough time for that today, but that's really where it all starts, right? We want to talk about people having papers and legitimacy and like American. You're not American. We are all Americans. We are all Americans, and for them to try and rewrite this narrative that somehow, to recenter being an American in whiteness is a losing battle, and they're losing it every day. And they're going to lose it simply with the numbers, right? So I'm glad they're scared, and they should be scared. I mean, not of me, but I think it's time to rethink their game.
They're afraid of your loins, David. They're afraid of your kids' loins. They scared of y'all having babies. They did the math.
We're having so many babies.
Listen, but this is why there's a lot of right-wing Black people. Like, again, like when you the person who started, Planned Parenthood. I mean, she was very honest about we don't want. We want to get this race out of here. And so I get where pastors come from. Jubilee, go ahead. I was about to get another long-winded. I'm just excited as an educator because I was about to go into Emiliano Zapata and James Baldwin in this moment. Like,
I wish
Emiliano Zapata conversation.
I just wish that you were in the classroom just for a little bit so that, our children could get that truth. I think my concern is that it all depends on who's telling the story. And the question is, how many people arrive where you are in terms of what the story should be? And, we've had all these debates around what should go in curriculum. The people don't want the word woke. They don't want to talk about slavery. They don't want to talk about Black Panthers. They're going to talk about Martin Luther King, but they ain't going to talk about Malcolm X. They don't want that printed. They don't want this printed. They got books banned. Don't talk about this. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have people that's in the classroom that may not be able to separate, their personal beliefs from the fact, and who believe in what is happening in front of us, that what's happening is the right thing. And that's what they want to share. And that's what they want to teach. And those are the facts they want to provide. And those are the documents that they want our children to read, So it's, anyhow, if Charles would just be a teacher.
Stay there though, Jube. Don't leave there, Jube, because I want you to finish. But I just wrote down while you were talking. Yeah, we gotta listen. Again, are you an activist educator or a revolutionary educator or not either? And because this is the thing, your public education is not and will never teach you how to take down the empire. What are you talking about? Like, do you think that the most powerful nation in the history of recorded history is going to is public schools that everybody goes to with all these immigrants and all these people of color to take down that? That's not how that's never going to happen. So parents, if you're a parent, this is where I don't know what type of teacher you got. I don't know if you got a conservative or liberal teacher in your classroom, but don't wait on that regardless. You got to teach this shit at home, and you don't have to know. Reach out to David or Jubilee or myself. We'll send you a YouTube video y'all can watch together. You can learn with your child in these moments and to have them be aware. Jubilee, I do want you to continue. You just inspired me in the moment. That's all.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
We got to give you a compliment for the day. We like this. Look, Jubilee is so easy. Look, I ain't even gave the compliment. We just mentioned the idea. This is what Omar does. I learned this from Omar. Anytime Omar is in trouble with Jubilee,
He just tells her she's beautiful, and it's all over. It's fine.
Wow.
That's terrible.
You never noticed this, David? I notice it every time Omar is about to get in trouble. He'd be like, and look at our fine ass fourth co-host over the day.
I'm not getting involved in that argument. Nope.
I'm just
Thank you, David.
David, we compliment you too. It just don't work as well.
Yeah.
Listen, when Omar,
Because I know you're lying. That's why.
When Omar stopped, no. That's when we go into the beard of wisdom. We like this, the beard of wisdom and the beard of knowledge. We all get buttered up in our ways. That's how we do. That's how Omar does Jube. So Jubilee, do you remember your statement, or are you still are you still gleaming from the compliment I gave you?
All I'm saying, I love those words that you said, active. I think if you're going to be a classroom teacher now, you do need to be at least an activist, because whatever's in them little textbooks and stuff, we don't know if they're true, and if they're factual. Again, it all depends on which storyteller got approved, and based on who's in office, right, in that state, you're going to have the continuum of unwoke to woke, and so our children may not be getting that. But I love what you said, and I get it. People are not going to try to teach you in the system how to take down the system, which is why I said the baseline should at least be the facts. But we as a nation, we haven't gotten that shit right. Just the facts, and then some good questions to get our babies thinking critically, right? Making inferences, putting 2 and 2 together and say, hey, 2 + 2 is 4. It's not 7. They lied. They said it was 7. 2 + 2 is 4. You are not blind, you are not deaf, and you are not dumb. You are brilliant, and you can put this together and draw a conclusion. That's the gift that we can give our children, even if we disagree with what's happening or whatever the case may be. Give the facts, ask questions, get them to think, get them to pull that stuff together and draw conclusions. That's 1. 2, I'm wearing my Soweto hat today. A few years ago, I went to South Africa. I got to visit Johannesburg, which was
baller.
I want to go back. It was amazing. It was really amazing. 5-star experience. It was amazing. But Johannesburg was like very sobering. But one of the things that always stuck with me was our the man that was our driver for the day. Like, he took us on the tour and he was giving us history, and he talked about their resistance. And I mean, I'm saying they got tin. Their homes are like made of just tin. They don't have running water inside. They don't have running, toilets inside. None of that stuff, And so he explained that Soweto has a deep history of resistance, like back from 1976, from student uprisings. All of it was like against apartheid, right? And then they had community pushback against systems that didn't serve them. And so he was like, yeah, people don't pay their utilities. And I'm paraphrasing, right? But people don't pay their utilities here. And we're like, what do you mean? It's like, we don't pay our utilities. And if we find out that one of our neighbors paid their utility, we go knock on the door and be like, hey, did you pay this? We don't pay this here in this community. And it has been, based on what he said, one of their longstanding ways to resist, since the government had treated them so poorly, right, that they have used this as a form of resistance. And it just reminded me of the power of, economic, when you push back economically, right, the power that it can have, because they all still have power. They all still have light, and they also have gas, but they don't pay a dime on purpose. And it's their way of saying, if you're not treating us right, we're not feeding into this monster. We're not feeding into this system. We're not paying you a dime, and you're still going to have to deliver and make sure that we have what we need, So that's one of the reasons why I wore my Soweto hat, because I feel like what we're seeing in Minneapolis feels very connected to that same instinct that communities are saying, like, we're not going to pretend this is normal. We're not going to stand back and be silent, and we're going to protect each other and speak out.
I love it. We're gonna come back to you for final thoughts. We'll move into final thoughts. Go ahead, David.
That's final thoughts. Yeah. So I want to add this on. This is a great question. Great.
And you got full time. Oh, you want me to put it back up?
Yeah. This is a great. Oh, we're fighting each other. There you go. This is a great comment from Crystal, because this goes to speaks directly to Jubilee's point around, like, when you start to see things that are happening or aren't happening, and you really can't understand why. You think about about money and about power. And so you remember, like, maybe even last year, Trump was talking about, when they started this immigration debate, what did he say? He's like, I think people that are here that work in the hospitality industry and agriculture, we should find a way for them to stay here. was about a year ago, probably. And so it's it's interesting that they have stayed away from a lot of these communities where they have where the agriculture industry has access to cheap Mexican Latino labor, right? Because of business interests, right? That's a whole other rabbit hole we could go down. But I think when we think about like, why are they in Minneapolis? Why aren't they in like Southern California or Arizona or like South Texas? Even though they are, but not in the numbers that they are. There's some kind of like economics at work behind the scenes, right? So just wanted to call that out.
Man, and if you want to take more for your final thoughts, you can. I wasn't, you have time, brother. We over, but I want you to get your.
I'm good. Yeah.
All right. I think, Jubilee, what about you? I didn't tell you, you got your full final thought if you want it.
Yeah, that's it. I'm with this. Bill said it earlier about economic boycott. And I really think, it had me thinking about the last boycott. And I'm like, I wonder, like, what did we gain from that? The boycott on Target and Amazon and all the other things. And I think, like, yes, it's important to go out, protest, and like, the civil disobedience, all those things. And these people respond to money, like the loss of it, that I think that's the only other thing that threatens them, right? Like they will shoot and kill you and tear gas you and all that stuff. But when you're no longer pouring money into their cash cows, then I think they actually will stop and pay attention and change their actions, because that's really what they care about, right? I know it's more about power than it is about money, but they gain power because they have money. And so I'm just, wondering if it's time for us to band together and have another economic boycott.
Okay. I think that's an interesting, I definitely think that's an interesting take. I have a few, but before I go into my final thought, it would be great right now. So I've gave Dave his shit. I don't really give Dave a lot of shit because it's David. He's like a big brother. We also missed you, David. We also missed you at the Dirk and Rachel awards. Yeah. I brought you up. A lot of people sent their love. It was a beautiful, beautiful service. I'll see if I can find some clips for it. But I give David a little bit of shit. I always give Jubilee shit. Now, Omar is not. Here's the thing. Y'all know what would have been great in this episode? You know what would have been incredible? If right now, if we were pushing play on a famous Omar rant in front of like whatever famous ass mountain he's in front of, or the moon that he's visiting Jupiter or some shit. Like he does shit like that. So we got to give Omar his collective shit. Omar promised that he was going to start doing these rants. This would have been perfect to start. Y'all in the crowd need to let Omar know. Send messages that we can screenshot and put in our group that everybody was expecting his his rant, his famous rant. That's one. Two, I'm gonna, like I said, my final thought is this, man. I try to host this show. I try to, I don't agree with a lot of things that I say here. I just more so I'm like, I got to push the show, right? The show needs to happen, needs to move on. And I'm going to always do that because that's just the responsible thing to do. But this is me. This is me during Oscar Grant. I got my ass beat that night. I got fucked up. And I think that like, but knowing that and knowing what's there, like these guys were very direct. They were very clear on what's happening. Here's the thing. A lot of people are doing protesting shit out of vanity. You're doing it because it's cool to be that right now. And I get it. You saw some of these people turn into celebrities after George Floyd. You saw a lot of these people get a lot of praise, and it's the beautiful stories of King and X. The good parts, like those are sexy stories. Medgar Evers got shot in front of his babies. Malcolm X got shot in front of his babies. Martin Luther King got shot on TV, to which his baby saw. Ida B. Wells had to move from Memphis to Chicago permanently because she wrote and exposed lynching, and they told her that they had a noose waiting for her black ass if she ever stepped foot back in Memphis. Emiliano Zapata died like fighting for what he believed in and just took it, ate it. And there, any race, any creed, any gender,
You can find these stories, but be honest with people. Be honest with people, because I do see a lot of young people are going out there and they think that this shit is sweet. I am firmly on this side with Jubilee and David, but let me be very clear with you. And this is what I was trying to say, Ju. I lived in Kentucky. I lived around people that believe with all of their heart, all of their morality, all of their God, like they believe this is ordained by God. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, manifest destiny. This is a beautiful time to talk about manifest destiny, because you know what else manifest destiny prepares you for? It prepares you for the slaughtering of all Native people. It prepares you for the washing of all these quote unquote illegal immigrants, if you believe in that and understand what it is, right? Like, some of us believe that, not me, but they believe that it's ordained by God. That's the only reason I stepped in when you said follow your morality, because this is some people's morality and they truly stand on it. Yeah. If you are going out there, be safe. If you got a family that loves you, think about what your next move is. And also, like, righteousness and the right has to be fought for. It has to be fought for. United States, and I criticize United States all the time, but I love living here. I travel the country, I travel the world all the time. And most places I travel, I'm gonna be real with y'all, Jube and Dave, when it's time to fly back, I'm like, I am ready to fly back. I'm ready to not get caught slipping, drinking out of like the faucet. Like, and I'm dead for 2 days. Like, no. But we got to this place because people were willing to fight. Because people that look like Jubilee and people that look like David were willing to fight. So again, I just don't want to sugarcoat this moment for you. I don't want to whitewash this moment. You might get hurt. Somebody you care about might get hurt. But if you really stand on what you stand on, some things are worth getting hurt for. And I asked them, but I'll tell you, just by knowing them, I know if you mess with David's wife or that kid, that line is crossed. I know with Jubilee, if any of her boys are in that line or sight, that line is going to get crossed. What's your line? Because just know if you step out there, them people out there protesting ain't playing, but Trump and them ain't playing either. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm not saying this to disagree with you, because I agree with the cause. But this generation does not believe that fat meat is greasy. They believe that if I'm standing on something righteous, people should just get behind it. No, they will fight you because they believe that they're fighting for their livelihood. Me and David joked about it, but a lot of these white people feel like Latinos are about to replace them, and then replacing them are going to put them through the same shit that they put everybody else through. You got to understand why they're fighting. You have to understand why they do push certain things to different groups and not to themselves. So with that being said, this is why Elon Musk, this is why all these Steve Bannon, this is why they're telling white people, have babies, please have babies. Hey, get this fucking abortion shit out of these white communities, because we need more babies. And the reason why they're able to get all this shit off is because we don't have good teachers. We have terrible teachers. And right now, if you are an educator, this is your moment, because everybody should know who H. Rap Brown is coming out of your class. They should know Emiliano Zapata. They should know about the civil rights movement. They should know about Medgar Evers. They should know about the lives that were lost. And they should know about people like David and Jubilee. And David, I can speak to, who lost so much. David could have had such a better professional life of just lack of stress and being able to enjoy and retire and do whatever, but he stood up for right. And when you stand up for right, sometimes that means you don't just argue with your enemies. It means you argue with your friends. So with that being said, David, I appreciate your service, man. Jube, I appreciate the heart that you always bring. And I give you shit, but like, you're truly one of the sweetest people. Like, you always are leaning on the side of like humanity, and the same with Omar. I just think it's four really good people, but to the educators watching, to the grandmamas watching, that's you, Mama Toya, that's you, Bill Conrad, that's you, H. Rap, like, you know what I'm saying? That's you, Demetria. Like, I know everybody I just named personally. And y'all are some of the smartest people ever. So the way that you give back in this moment is make sure people got education. Make sure people know what's happening and make sure that they don't say dumb shit like this. It's never been this bad, because I promise you it's been worse, and we've gotten through it and came out on top. Those are my final thoughts. Go ahead, Jim.
because I had it perfect with the perfect drop, but it's okay. Go ahead, love.
But you just made me think. Don Lemon, who I love, he takes his microphone to the street.
I love him sometimes. I love him all the time. But go ahead. Yeah,
I love him. But he interviews this dude, and he tells him, have you heard about what's going on with ICE? Do you want to give your opinion? The guy's like, well, can I say what I really want to say? He's like, you can say whatever you want to say. So the guy begins to share, and he says, ICE, I'm paraphrasing, ICE is doing their job. This didn't happen when Obama was doing this. And Don Lemon says, well, he was using due process and he wasn't beating people up. And the guy was like, well, they're using due process now. They're using warrants. And Don Lemon was like, they're not using due process.
Well,
he was like, what do you watch?
Yeah.
He's like, I watch Fox News. He's like, well, there lies the problem, right? But I'm saying, right, like, teach our babies to think, to critique, to be inquiry led, to not take everything at face value, to do some digging. That is the gift we can give. All right. You don't want to take sides. You don't want just teach the babies to think critically, to ask questions, and to do some digging so that they can draw their own conclusion. It's not that hard. All right.
My lovely, wonderful co-host, you definitely stepped on my clothing, but now you don't open up shit. I will say this. If you're gonna tell the truth, you got to tell the truth the whole way. Barack Obama is my favorite president. I've campaigned for Barack. I did a ton for Barack. Barack Obama was also supposed to close Guantanamo Bay. It wasn't always due process. We kept Guantanamo open for a few different reasons. And I love Barack. And I have to contend with the nuance of this. Barack Obama also drone struck a lot of people. And to be fair, Barack Obama deported far more people than Trump did. And I know we want, and I want to give him the love, and I will. Barack Obama also created those damn cages too. Like, we got to do something with these kids. So power is power is power. And we can't pick and choose, because when we pick and choose and we have these inconsistencies, that is what empowers and emboldens the Trump administration, because they will say, oh, well, do you really have a problem with immigration? And Barack is your favorite, right? Oh, okay, got you. He's killing me in the numbers, by the way. But anyway, I love that. I wish you would have said that at Mark 35. But that was a great statement, Jew. David, it's good to see you, man. Omar, we miss you. I've been Dr. Charles Cole III with these two incredibly much smarter than me people and much nicer than me people. But we will see you all next week, same bat time, same bat station. In the meantime, and I know this is a sign off that I stole from somewhere. I don't remember where, but whatever. Stop doing that shit, Jubilee. You are a child. You are a child. And I'm glad Omar is not here to do it with you. Dave, thank you for being an adult. I'm going to say this as not just a silly sign off. What I will say is take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Be a community. We got in some of these moments. And if you believe in the idea of energy converters, Jesus, I'm at work. If you believe in the idea of the United States, if you believe in the experiment of the United States, this is the time to fight, because she does have a lot of potential and she's done a lot of great things. But right now, she's looking a little raggedy. So let's make sure she does it. I love y'all, man. And seriously, be safe. Jubilee, David, keep your kids safe. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Peace, everybody.
Yes.